Today we are using the AG-47 Bondo and the Icing Lite putty.
Oh, hey guys, just finishing up the panel we started earlier on. So we got some Bondo and some putty on here, and I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to spread out, how well it lays down, how well it sands. So why don't we go back and take a look at all that, shall we? Hey guys, what's up? Cody from NorCal Color Supply. So today we have our panel here, and as you can see we've got some Bondo in some areas here, Bondo and putty. We've got some imperfections, some holes that we still need to fill. So I'm going to go back over those with the Bondo, and you're going to see how easy it is to mix, spread, and sand, all in this video. And then when we're done, we're going to put some putty over the light sand scratches that I got over in this area still, and then whatever the Bondo doesn't pick up, after we sand it down, we'll fill that back in with putty. And then at the end, we'll see what it looks like. Alright guys, so we got our Bondo on our board here. You want to make sure it's nice and mixed. There's no marbleizing of the hardener. That in there. Bam, just like that. Okay? Yes, I know I didn't show the full procedure, but now we got some Bondo made up. We're going to take it and put it over our already bonded spots, because all we're doing is filling in holes. I got a ding right here that in a sand through area, so we're going to bring this in, apply it on nice and light. Make sure we don't have any too thick spots. Okay, there we go. Bam, just like that. Bring it up. We don't want any thick spots. You want it nice and smooth. There are some ridges up in here, and over here didn't turn out too great, but you know what? That's an easy fix when you sand it, because I have already covered my damaged area. So now we're going over here to the center. Bam, we're just going to apply this. We got some sanded through areas right there. Cover those up. Now when you're working with your Bondo, you want to make enough that's controllable, especially when it's hot outside. You want to make sure you have a controllable amount to where it's not going to dry up on you while you're using it, and then you just waste product by going through it so quickly and it gums up on you. And you also want to make enough for the jobs that you're doing. So I already know how much I used in a previous segment, or not a previous segment, but when I did this earlier to kind of get the feel for Bondo and starting out. And so I already know how much I was going to use, and now I have that exact amount, and I'm going to use that exact amount. So on this side we have a lot of sand through scratches and a dent on a corner here, right there where I just went. And it was a problem for me when I first did it. So now that I got it down, I'm just going to bring this in here, nice light coat, smooth out, smooth out. We don't want a lot of ridges. And then I'm going to follow up here with the top where I've been missing. And the reason I've kind of stayed away from that corner is I don't want what just happened there. I don't want a thick edge that's hard to smooth out when I'm done. So what I'll do is I'll come back over the top, and then I'll smooth it out on top like this, clearing my spreader as I go, because well, it's filled up everywhere else. Bring that back that way. Now as you can see, as I'm going down, I'm making a ridge somewhere else. Well, now I gotta come back in and fix that. And my Bondo's starting to dry up there. Like I said before, we don't want it too thick, and nice and smooth, and not a lot of high areas. Okay, so there we have it. All of our areas are bonded. Right here we had a sanded through area, and I mean it was a small area to begin with, just in this area right here, but I went ahead and covered it so I could feather that back in when I sand it. Over here we had some sand through areas in our putty that we put on top of our Bondo, and again, feather it in. Over here, I just redid that whole area because it looked like crap, let me tell you. Whew! Well, I just got some Bondo on my shoe, so I'm going to go clean that off. I'm going to go get our sandpaper. We're going to sand this down, and then we're going to do our putty. Okay, so we let our panel set up. Now we're going to start sanding on. We got our 220 sandpaper, and this is the USC AG-47. And as you saw just a second ago, I mean, it was nice when it spread out. So here's how it sands. I mean, no real effort, just a couple minor strokes here and there, and as you sand you can start to see your high and your lows. Your high spots are obviously going to be a lot wider, and your lows are going to look more like the color of the Bondo. because obviously they're low and you're sanding down the high spots. Now I'm using a 220 sandpaper just so I'm not really cutting through it with the 80. The 80 will just bite in there, that's why they're called hogs. The 220, a little bit slower work, so I have more time to feather it in and out. You know, you saw that I kind of went wide. I mean, it's a freaking test panel. I'm not trying to be perfect here. So now I'm going to throw in a short time lapse of me doing this. Alright guys, so we got our Bondo sanded down. Now I'm mixing up our putty to use. And like again with the Bondo, you want to really work in your hardener so you don't have any marbleization, you don't have any two blue spots if you're using the blue cream hardener or whatever color hardener you're using. You want to get that all mixed in really nice. And you don't need a lot of putty because of how thin we put on putty. Now today we're using the Icing Lite. That's kind of a gold color. And we're going to see how well does it spread, how well does it sand. So we got a couple spots we didn't want to sand too far down in our Bondo over here. So we're going to go ahead, we're just going to put a nice light coat of putty as my panel drops. Right there. And again, putty is not a filler. It's just to help cover blemishes. Very good. Now we're gonna finish with my putty work here. So we filled up some stuff in here, some spots, just to kind of fill in. We don't want to douse them with putty. So like a nice thin light coat, which is exactly what this is, exactly what we want, nice and smooth. And I made enough just for that. I didn't really have anything over in here. This one turned out pretty good, and this one's got one little spot I want to touch up. And as my putty dries, it's now unworkable. Actually, there we go. It did what I wanted to do. I filled that hole, and you don't want that. I mean, I'm going to sand that down. But that's how our putty lays out, nice and smooth. Real thin coat there, just to kind of cover up what I didn't want to sand too far to bust through the Bondo. So we're going to let this set up, we're going to sand it down, and then we'll be done. Alright guys, so here we've got our glaze, we let it set up nice and dry. So we're just going to come over with our 220 again, and we're just going to sand that smooth, and smooth this all out and get it ready for our primer. And you can see, I don't know how well it's going to turn up on this video, but you can kind of see my high and my low spots. My low spots are right here, where there's still coloration to the putty, and my high spots have already been sanded off. So I mean, you can see how easy this sands. I mean, little to no effort, a couple passes, and there's all my low spots evened out, all my high spots brought down a little bit there. But I mean, little to no effort to sanding with this putty, and it's really nice. Again, this is the Icing Lite, and it's gold. So we're going to finish this up really good, make it nice and smooth. There. Now here is where our putty started to dry, and it doesn't look too good. Let's see how it sands, let's see how it turns out when we're done. See what I mean by light? I've already burned through that part of the putty, but my affected area was actually down in here. Didn't turn out too bad. Alright guys, so here's our finished panel. We've got our Bondo work all done, we've got our putty work all done, and it looks great. Now we're just going to clean this panel off. We're going to get it ready for primer in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys will stay tuned to our channel and check out the other demo videos we got coming to you. Sounds like I got a customer. I got to run. See you guys in the next video.